In case you don't know, I'm kind of a big fan of the Green Lantern series. But who are the Green Lantern Corps? Well, I'll tell you. They are essentially space cops, and though I grew up with Kyle Rayner, this particular story that I'm going to be looking at today is about Hal Jordan. He's a former Air Force pilot who's moral, upright, he's a decent, well-meaning guy, and he's said to be the greatest Green Lantern of them all. He's got a lot of good stories behind him, and Jeff Johns has done a good job of writing him. But I'm not going to talk about Jeff Johns. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the guy, and as much as I would love to talk about how awesome I found his last Green Lantern comic, which I bought, by the way, pick it up while you have the chance, Green Lantern 20, in stores now. No, I'm not going to talk about him. I'm going to talk about this run of Green Lantern. Wait. Coney 20. Is there nobody in charge of continuity on this show? Today's comics come to you courtesy of Dennis O'Neil and Neal Adams. You might know these guys as the people that did those famous Batman comics in the Silver Age. You know, the death of Jason Todd. Now, normally these guys are very good, but this is a bit different. The story begins with Hal doing what he does best, upholding law and order. Oh, I love that expression he's got in the lower right-hand panel. Just look at him. Boink! It's then that his friend Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, decides to put Hal in his place to explain why he shouldn't have saved that guy from being publicly lynched. See, the guy is a slumlord, and he's kicking the people inside of his slum out in the name of making a profit. He hasn't put any money into trying to make the place better for his tenants. He's only interested in making a quick buck. Now, of course, Hal says, look, I understand the kid was upset and was trying to get back at the guy, but I've got a job to do. And Ollie Queen invokes Godwin's law. Now, for those of you who don't know what Godwin's law is yet, I'll explain it. It's that every single argument on the internet will inevitably bring up the Nazis or Hitler in some way. And that's what Oliver does. He says, and I quote, "Seems I've heard that line before. At the Nazi war trials." But now it's time for one of the most controversial parts of comic book history. This is a big damn moment in comic books. See? How come you never bothered with the black skins, Mr. Green Lantern? Answer me that! I can't. So, where do I begin? I'm gonna quote Grant Morrison for this. In any real world where the laws of physics and some interstellar impartial judiciary permitted his existence, Green Lantern's response would have been all of our responses to that same accusation. I've been saving the entire Earth and every living thing on it, regardless of race, color, political affiliation, or species, since Green Lantern issue number 1! But is that what we get? No! Instead, believability gets sacrificed to that Hal Jordan has to hang his head in shame as he's guilted by a poor black man. Oh, the humanity! Oh, and by the way, in case you're thinking that maybe I'm being too unfair and that, come on, Nick, you're looking back on this and laughing from a modern era, in a time when a black person is president. Of course we're going to look back and laugh on the stupid, dumb hicks who thought that this was controversial. This isn't just me saying this is preachy bull. It's not just me. It's the fans who wrote into the comic itself at the time it came out who are saying this. Don't get me wrong, your idea is cute, but it's wrong. And so you don't misunderstand me, I've printed this Green Lantern's mail shoot letter sent in from a fan, and I've circled it so you can't miss it. See it? Evidently, this sage wisdom, as imparted by a wise black man, has caused Hal to go into major angsting mode, and he's basically useless for a while. But Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, seems to have come up with a neat idea on how to get our big slumlord to give himself up without even knowing it. He's going to form a trap, have the bad guys meet him at a undisclosed location, and then get one of the guy's flunkies to essentially give up the big boss in a fight. It's a good plan, but it doesn't work. Ollie had hoped that the slumlord would show up and he could incriminate the guy while wearing a secret tape recorder on his person. Unfortunately, the tape got destroyed, and when Hal tries appealing to the man directly in an attempt to get some compassion out of the dude, he just gets laughed at. Luckily, it's now Hal that gets a brilliant idea. He'll disguise himself as one of the bad guy's flunkies and get the guy to publicly admit he arranged a hit on Hal Jordan, aka Green Lantern, and Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow. And it works. The sting operation goes off like a charm. They even got a federal agent snuck into the building to hear the whole confession. The guy is completely screwed. He attempts to pull a "if I go down, I'm taking you with me" trick, but Hal Jordan's ring takes care of that pretty darn quick, and our story ends. Right? Right? Nope, it's time for more preachy bull. Listen to Ollie Queen sermonizing in a desperate attempt to try and sound relevant to the times he's in. On the streets of Memphis, a good black man died. And in Los Angeles, a good white man fell. Something is wrong. Something is killing us all, a moral cancer rotting at our very souls. And you, sitting on your mud ball, preening like a smug tomcat, how dare you presume to meddle in the affairs of humanity, when we're no more than statistics for you and your crew? This comic series is almost as pretentious and stuck-up and pompous and arrogant as Superman You know, almost as pretentious. Here's the thing. I understand that this was a comic that came around over 30, 40 years ago. Back then, it was hard not to talk about real issues of the world without sounding like an after-school special. I know how hard it is for you guys in the comic book industry to address issues like this, even now. I get it. I get how hard it is. So I'm willing to cut you guys back then some more slack, because you didn't really know what you were talking about, but you were at least trying, and you were one of the first to really try. So I give you some props for that. You get some slack. Certainly more than JMS did writing this is bad. This is very, very bad. I'm going to get to that eventually. But as for this run of Green Lantern and Green Arrow, you might think maybe I'm being too harsh on it, but trust me, there were worse stories. We've only just skimmed the surface. Tune in next time when I get to the next issue and we talk about the evils of drugs. But I'd still take the worst parts of this over Spider-Man One More Day. Then again, that's kind of like saying I'd rather be killed quickly then killed slowly. JMS. What have you wrought?